Hey everyone, this is Rosemarie from the Unfinished Lesson, and this is another Quick Win series. In this particular series, we're taking a look at how do we adapt online group lessons for our special learners. So online group lessons are really great, they're fun, but for our special learners, we have to do things just a little bit differently. However, there's no reason why they can't join in the studio fun. So make sure you watch the whole series, but in this first video, we're going to take a look at communication. For a lot of families, having the date, time, and length, and a general description of we're going to focus on autumn, we're going to focus on recital prep, right? It's fine. They're not going to worry about it. For our special learners and their families, we need to do things a little bit differently. And my first suggestion is start early. This is a lesson I learned as a school teacher. I worked at a private special needs school, and I knew that for the majority of my students, if there was a change in the schedule coming up, that we really they needed time to assimilate that. They needed time to get used to that idea. So in your studio, start 3 weeks, 4 weeks ahead of time. Hey, next month we have group lesson, and we're going to talk about what that looks like in our lessons, and you're going to have lots of time to ask questions. By introducing it each week for weeks in advance, it can help put your student at ease because it doesn't feel like it was just all of a sudden things changed, especially if the date and the time and the format change. And that's usually what happens when we do group lessons. So take that time. It doesn't have to be a lot, but just making sure that they have loads of time to get used to this idea. Talk about what's going to happen in the group lesson. So what are the expectations? Since we're talking online, when they go online, should they unmute their mic? Should they have their video on? What are the expectations if they have something they want to say to you? What are the expectations on if they're really feeling overwhelmed? What do they do? These are things that especially the parents are probably going to ask. For your student, it might be things like, this is what the routine is going to be. When you join the group lesson, you're going to make sure that your video is on, but your audio is off. We're going to do this activity first, and then we're going to do these things. So I actually would tell them what the schedule is. This gives them, it makes them feel like they know what's going on, but also it's not as scary, right? It's a way of making sure that, okay, I know what's coming up. And by doing this, you're actually going to avoid a lot of the behavioral issues, which is really your student just trying to cope. Make sure you check in with parents and students both together, but also individually. So for example, your student might say that they're fine, but then when you check in with the parent later individually or privately, they might say, yeah, they were fine in lesson, but then after lesson, they had a complete and utter meltdown. Okay, well, that gives you information. So definitely, yeah, just make sure you check in with each individually. And then just ask about any concerns and address them. And it can be anything from, what do I do if I'm feeling overwhelmed? Or for the parents, what if my child decides all of a sudden right before the group lesson that they're not attending? What do I do? They're going to have lots of questions. Just have a back and forth conversation. That's why it's so important to start early. All right, so let's wrap up this video. In terms of communication, start early, make sure it's back and forth. Those are the two most important things. Before you go on with the rest of your day, I have a goal for you. I would like you to write down what are the expectations or the general schedule of your upcoming group lesson, okay? Once you have that, I'm assuming that you have the date for your next group lesson. If you don't, that's okay. Just remember when you plan it, you're going to start about a month ahead of time if it's the first online group lesson or even in-person group lesson for this student. Give it about a month beforehand that you're going to start working with the family and the student, it gets easier. I have students that they're neurodiverse special learners, and now all I really do is just send the date, the time, and the link. They don't need more because my student feels comfortable. They know what's going to happen. All right, I hope you have an incredible day. Make sure you tune in for the next video in this series. And yeah, let me know in the comments below. What are some of the expectations? Or maybe you have concerns. Write them in the comments below, okay? Looking forward to reading them.